Hi everyone, welcome to Business is the Chat. My name is Mulebukeng Matipidi. I'm a strategic consultant. I am the host of Business is the Chat and the face behind MoSolute. So, what MoSolute does is a strategic driven company. I develop business ideas and help people execute their ideas as well if they don't know how and they're struggling. I come up with business solutions. I come up with programs and projects and the reason for business is the chat is to kind of connect people, to network, to understand business entrepreneurs business challenges, because part of what I do, I create opportunities out of those problems, so they don't kind of like feel the kick. You can always find a solution out of it. And from an entrepreneur to an entrepreneur, we can learn from each other. So the whole concept of this whole thing is to learn, to get information, to give people information, and to aspire aspiring entrepreneurs as well. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest speaker for today is Ricardo. Ricardo, can you please introduce yourself? Tell us what club you own and what makes your club unique.
Well, thanks for the opportunity. Excited to chat to you today. So, yeah, for the purpose of your viewers and listeners, my name is Ricardo da Costa. I am a venue owner, promoter, DJ, and all-round hustler. I own a venue in Fourways called Altitude Beach, which has been going on since November 2019, and quite pivotal to navigating the turbulent waters around the COVID era. I have another venue in Bedford View called the Ivy Champagne Garden, uh, and then I have businesses in the music and entertainment space. Soul Candy Records, Soul Candy Music, Soul Candy Live, which a lot of people might know us for the music we used to release, but we've also hosted a series of festivals and events, most notably Spring Fiesta. And I'm involved in a couple of other businesses, media, Soul Candy Studios, which um, does music and entertainment content for TV and for online. We recently just released the Major League reality show This Life on MTV Base with Major League and Uncle Vinny. So to summarize, I'm very much focused and central to all things music, entertainment, and hospitality.
Thank you so much, Ricardo. So my next question is, um, since we're talking about how what makes your club unique, and like yo, you do so many things. I'm just like wow, I just know a small portion. So, can you please share with us your business? I mean your entrepreneurial journey and how you got introduced into this industry.
So I've been a DJ for about 26 years, and I guess my first entrepreneurial experience was hosting my own events. So having DJ'd for an extended period of time, I always had my own creative vision in terms of what I wanted events to look like, how the programming of the events needed to be, marketing. So I had all these ideas and ultimately landed up channeling that into, my first event. And I think that's really what sparked the synergy between other things within the music space. Though I was very passionate about, becoming the next superstar DJ, you know, kind of leveraging other things within the same industry, to monetize from it, to profit from it, and to obviously benefit the other things within that same sort of area that I was focusing in, kind of made sense. And it was at that point I realized that I wanted to make a career in the space. It's music, entertainment, hospitality is not an it's a sexy part of the business, sure, but it's not an easy industry to be in. It's very saturated, and I learned a lot from hosting my first event, and thank God I didn't lose money. But it certainly was the building blocks for me to better and improve my craft in that realm, and just learn how to deal with cash flows and monies. And my first real business that I was a partner in was Soul Candy. I joined Soul Candy in 2009, 2010. And that was the first, official business that I was a partner in, other than entrepreneurial sort of activities and doing events and that kind of thing, which till today I still do a lot of. Um, a proper business with staff and accountants and salaries, and all those responsibilities that fall on the head of all entrepreneurs. That was really the first business and brand really that I was super fortunate to be a part of, and still am part of today, and that honestly molded me from a business standpoint in every way to the businessman and entrepreneur that I am today. So I have a lot of appreciation, and I'm super thankful for the experiences and the learnings that I got from my partners at Soul Candy, and everyone else that we were surrounded with regards to my entrepreneurial journey.
Thank you so much. So, I'd like to find out what, I don't know, if you can share with us some of your business challenges that made you a better entrepreneur.
Do you know that? And it's gonna sound quite scary, but the biggest lessons that I've learned being entrepreneurs when I've lost money,
Okay.
and the silver lining there is that they're the most valuable lessons. Like, yeah, you can get taught how to market to this and run your cash flows like this and that, which ultimately help run your business. But the most important lessons are those lessons where you lose money. And I've unfortunately and fortunately have lost a lot of money in the ecosystem that makes up my career. From hosting the first Spring Fiesta, uh, and I've got no shame in saying this. I lost 800,000 rand. Now,
Wow.
as an event organizer, anyone that loses that amount of money, I mean, it's crippling. And it was obviously very difficult to deal with. And it obviously helps having partners. I didn't take the burden on my own. But you take a deeper look at the whole thing, and you learn to control your creative input with logic, and you balance everything out. And we took some hard lessons and applied all the learnings, and the second one we made that money back. um
Wow.
so it's those lessons that are the most critical to you as an entrepreneur, is when you make those mistakes. And what defines you as an entrepreneur is how you learn from them and how you're able to rectify them. Because if you continue to make the same mistakes, then you're not really learning.
Mm.
There was another deal that we were involved in, where we were procuring um, a international artist for a corporate client,
Mhm.
and uh, basically the talent manager that we were dealing with took the money and disappeared. And we're
Wow.
talking about 1.3, 1.4 million rand. Now, we were still liable to the client for that money. So tremendous amount of pressure and stress and what if and should have, could have, and all of that. But you got to take it as a learning and really dive deeper into, okay, well, did we need to pay the full money up front? even though he was threatening, the talent manager was threatening to pull the booking from from the deal if we didn't pay. Like there's so many little things that when you reverse engineer these experiences, you won't make, especially when you lose 1.3, 1.4 million rand, you're never going to make that mistake again. And again, like, I thank my partners for having my back and understanding a very courageous situation that happened, that though there were some faults and learnings and things that we could have done differently, ultimately we were going to make sure that that never happened again. And 5 months down the line, I managed to secure another deal that, again, covered the loss that we made and then some. So you've got to have a tenacious, persistent mindset as an entrepreneur to learn from the mistakes and apply them in a way that is constructive to improve your business in whichever industry that you're in.
So building on that, um, how important is it to build and establish relationships since you are like doing so many things?
Sorry, to build what relationships?
How is it? Why is it important to build and establish relationships within the industry? Because you're doing so many things, and you go back to saying, like, I'm grateful I didn't have to carry that burden. You know.
So, in my opinion, relationships are everything in this game. I mean, you can have agreements that can be completely undone by a good relationship, or a bad relationship for that matter. So I am a people person, and I put a lot of equity, time, and attention into relationships, because that defines and molds where businesses go, whether it's a relationship with your customers, a relationship with your suppliers. Just think about the COVID period that we've just been through. If restaurants, establishments did not have good relationships with their suppliers, do you think that they would be supportive and understanding of the fact that you won't be able to pay your invoices and your bills within the predefined time? If you have a bad relationship, that person is going to put pressure on you, might even take legal action. If you have a good relationship, they'll understand, we'll work together, we're all in this together, blah, blah, blah. So, and there's examples of that in every aspect of business. Relationships are everything. I put a tremendous amount of my time. I would say 50% of my time is spent around building relationships, leveraging partnerships for the events, the venues that I have, and that kind of thing. And it's super important. So, and just with your partners, you know what I mean, to uh, assume the responsibilities that you have together and not to run away from them. It's very scary to be in a position of disadvantage, to lose money, to have an event rained out, to be closed due to COVID. But when you're an entrepreneur, you have a responsibility with your partners that, one way or another, we're going to get through this, and we're not going to throw in the towel, and we're going to make it work. But if you let stress compound and blur the vision of strategy and what you collectively can accomplish by sorting problems out, that's when the problems start to happen, and the relationships start to fall by the wayside. But I've been lucky in adopting that philosophy, which has helped me through most of the problems that I've had.
Yeah. How long have you been in the game? Like, how long have you been in the game?
In which game? I think I mentioned a few games
Like,
to you. So
yeah.
I've been a DJ for about 26 years.
Wow.
Not my primary focus these days, but I'm still very active in it. I still buy lots of music and still very passionate about the game. I've been an event promoter for 20 years, doing festivals, events. I'm involved in H2O. I've got a brand called Electric Circus. I do and tour a lot of international DJs and artists. Um, and I've been a venue owner and restaurateur for 5 years. So,
Wow.
uh, and though they may seem like vastly different industries that are very, very closely linked. So um, I see it as a synergy that is complementary to one another, and collectively they've helped me achieve new and different things that I wouldn't be able to do if I was just in one of those industries.
So, like, what made you like tap into those three industries?
Um, to be honest, I didn't have a mindset that I wanted to get into all these things individually. They kind of the DJing sparked inspiration and intent for me to go into the event space, and the event space kind of opened up the hospitality venues, because owning a restaurant in a venue like Altitude Beach, it's like throwing an event every single week. So
Yes.
all the experience that I had from hosting festivals and that kind of thing has helped me run venues. And my experience in being a DJ has helped me program the music and entertainment in my venue. So you see how it all starts to kind of cross pollinate and feed into one another. So um, I I'm super lucky that I wake up every day and I do what I love, despite all the things that are in front of me and on my plate. Um, I never wake up on a Monday thinking, "Oh, I got work." It's my businesses,
Mm.
and I think being passionate about something and most importantly, going to bed at night thinking about your businesses, becoming obsessed about your businesses,
Mhm.
has allowed me to be able to succeed within all the different sort of facets of the hospitality entertainment space that I'm in.
Nice, nice. You do so much. I'm actually so inspired. Wow. Like, um, I could actually get like use you as a mentor. So, do you have like a club story that sticks by you, whether it's good or bad? Because, for example, we hear a lot of stories about uh, security issues, especially in events. How do you gonna like deal with that or handle it?
So, like, security is just one of those elements in venues and events that you cannot skimp on. And I think a lot of promoters, mostly ones that are not experienced, think that, oh, let's rather book one more DJ than, booking more security. Security can make or break you, because
Mhm.
if you have a stampede, if you have problematic patrons, if you have people trying to, get into your event through illegal means and climbing over fences and whatever, that is the foundation to steering your event into being successful or not successful. Um, I mean, yeah, being in this space, you're always going to get instances that escalate, that are problems. Um, patrons drinking too much and getting into a fight.
Yes.
How good your security is will define how quickly you know, kind of diffuse the whole situation. So um, those things are areas that I tend to want to put a lot of emphasis in. I do in. Uh, DJ hospitality rise is something that I want to put less emphasis on, because it costs so much money and it's can be a bit ridiculous and exorbitant sometimes. So um, I how I'm engineered, I'm
Mhm.
I'm very focused around experiences. So memorable things that you will have from coming to one of my events is what drives me, as opposed to you know like I mentioned, the hospitality riders and this and that and whatever. So that marketing concepts, experiences, memories is what I put a lot of my focus and energy onto.
Have you ever had like negative publicity at your club?
So you know I guess people are very subjective in terms of what they deem to be a fair price to pay for things, and not a fair a price to pay. Ultimately, and again, back to the entrepreneurial side, everything gets reverse engineered from the business model. So when you open up a venue, some people spend 1 million, some people spend 2 million, some people spend 30 million. Well, you need a return on that investment, right? So, okay, well, you look at your offering and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to be an entertainment venue, I'm going to be a restaurant, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. Then you look at your rent, you look at where you're located, you look at the profile of customer that's coming, you look at the value that you give the customer, because ultimately that needs to be paramount when you're having an establishment that entertains people. And, with my partner, the team, we consolidate what we feel is a fair price to be for the kind of offering that we are. Some people don't always think about that. So, very expensive, price is always something that creeps up, and especially times where economically people feel a little bit of the pinch. But maybe then we're not the kind of destination for you, and that's okay. I want your business. Everyone is welcome. But if you think I'm too expensive, well, I'm not trying to rip people off. And I believe that I am aligned to a lot of the other places. And I believe that other establishments that are parallel to us experience the same things. Service is also something that, if it's not managed, can spiral out of control, and it can actually define you. And that's something that I actually take quite seriously, where I manage like the Google rating and feedback platforms on all my establishments, so that me, the owner, I can reply to you and get feedback on whether it was a good experience or bad experience. I'm like, I expect my establishment to give you a 5-star experience. I don't want to celebrate those. I acknowledge them and I appreciate them, but that is my expectation. But if you had a 1-star experience at my venue, I want to know why. I want to know constructively how I can fix it. And if there is a disciplinary level that needs to be applied to fix the problem, I'll do it, because your patrons is what is the driving force behind your establishment. You lose them, you lose everything. So I am big on service. I'm big on customer feedback and customer satisfaction. If that is not in place and my staff are not operating at the highest level, we have a problem.
I'm totally with you on that. It's so key, it's so important, and people take it for granted. Like, you need to get feedback, because you need eyes from the outside. You cannot like execute everything perfectly. People who are experiencing that moment, they will give you like proper feedback. And if you can't take the criticism, that's another issue.
Yeah,
So
I take it constructively. Obviously, there are some feedback that is a bit unfair, in that it's just like boring. Like, we get like sometimes will be like, the music was boring. It's like, well, that's not really constructive. And I appreciate your feedback, but I'm looking for ways that we can take you from there to there. You know what I mean? And I will always be driven by that.
so um what business opportunities are there? Okay, you've tapped into three business. I don't know, you can share one of them or all of them. My question is, what business opportunities are there in those industries that you think people are not tapping into or are not aware of?
I think there's always going to be an opportunity for the next venue, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's down to the creative force behind it. Is the concept unique, or is it just another pizzeria down the road? Because in proximity, there's 10 pizzerias. Are you going to open another one? Or are you going to open something that is groundbreaking and stands in its own lane? So when we open Altitude Beach, like, we believe that there is nothing like this in the area, in Gauteng. And I mean, I don't want to be too bullish and say in the country, because, there were venues like Shimmy Beach and that used to be around. But if you take Shimmy Beach from what it was, because beach from Cape Town, I think it's safe to say that there is no other venue like Altitude Beach. I don't say that with arrogance or entitlement.
Mhm.
It's if you characterize what we are in areas of a service functionality offering, there's not many venues that can offer what we offer. So that excites me. That means I'm in my own lane. That means I can put together an offering that has got attention. It's not distracted by someone down the road that is similar and whatever. So, and it doesn't mean to say that I don't have my own set of challenges. I'm a big venue and it's difficult to fill. I can't fill my venue every single weekend, but I can create a vibe in different spaces and places within my venue. So, I've had to readjust my strategy, just thinking that I could every week, to making intimate spaces within the venue that I can still create a vibe with 200 people or with 500 people. So there's always going to be opportunities to open new establishments, but my golden nugget would be, how are you different from the competitors? And is there capacity and opportunity within that realm and in your radius and in your area? If you do that due diligence and you tick all the boxes, then there's plenty of opportunity. Within the event side, I think there's too many events that are run by people who are not driven by the right motivation to run events. And they do really, really bad events and ultimately land up affecting really good, well-run professional events. And it's not to say that people can't do it, but what is your motivation to host events? Because if you're not driven by passion of hosting people and making them happy, um, and you're driven just by the money, it's going to show in the quality of your event. So I would say there's a lot less opportunities in the eventing standpoint to make a proper business out of it than it would be from a venue restaurant perspective. And from a like a record label, music and entertainment sort of establishment point of view, I think it's a very, very difficult industry to be in. If you're going to start a record label or any kind of music related business that deals with music rights and that kind of thing, you really need to do your research and you really need to have a sound business plan with the right support and backing, understanding and knowledge of music rights, where the revenue is, where the value is. It's not just, okay, I'm passionate about music and I've got talented guys, let me start a label. It can be a very expensive exercise if you don't know what you're doing. So yeah, I think, to consolidate my worlds, I think there's a lot more opportunity in venues than there is in events and there is in the music label business.
So it's all about how you going to be unique and be better and give a different experience.
Yeah, like what is your unique selling point? What makes you different from every single other establishment venue? And I guess that philosophy can be applied to whatever you do. You know what I mean? If you're going to start a record label, what's going to make you different from the next record label? And will you demand the attention of your captive or potential target market? You've got to
Yeah,
you've got to really do your work before, uh, through instinct and emotion, you just start something without doing that homework before.
yeah. So I have three questions um, before I continue. From a lady, Mulatelo Rose. So she asked, "Are you going to get another altitude beach in a different location?"
So that's a good question. So we have flirted with a couple of things, one in Durban and a location in Cape Town, but none of them really felt like it was the right thing to do. So we pulled back from them. But if the right space in the right location and it ticks all the boxes, we will definitely consider opening in another city or area.
And then she asked, but I think you've touched on this question. She asked that Altitude Beach looks like a very expensive investment financially. How has the pandemic impacted your bottom line, especially since COVID hit soon after you opened your doors?
So it has impacted us tremendously. But like I said earlier, when there's distress and there's problems, you grow and you learn to pivot and you find opportunities in those things. We've been very lucky that we've had very loyal customers. Um, our strategic partners, all the alcohol brands, the energy drinks, they have been very supportive of us as a venue, and supported us in so many different ways. So we have a lot of appreciation for that from a brand point of view into Altitude. Unfortunately, we had to retrench some staff
Oh,
through the COVID sort of pandemic, but we have been able to still operate. Um, we've been able to upgrade and do things to the venue when we've been able to trade, and it's our we still feel like we're in our honeymoon phase. So we opened for 6 months, then we were closed for 6 months because of COVID restrictions in 2020. Then we reopened for 5 months, and then we closed for 2 months, and then we reopened for 4 months, and then we closed for 2 months. So we've still got a lot to prove, and our legacy has only begun to be built. So we ain't going anywhere. So though it has had a tremendous financial implication and impact on us, our families, and our staff, we always will find a way to recover and to start getting back on some sort of momentum to regular business.
and then the last question here is, if one wanted to pitch a business proposal for your restaurant, how does one go about doing that?
Um, yeah, so that's one thing I'm very open to is broader thinking and ideas. So if it makes sense for any of my establishments, I'm always obviously keen to look and discuss it. So they can um, email hello at theivygarden.co.za for the Ivy, or hello at altitudebeach.co.za for Altitude. And they can send their ideas and suggestions, and it will get forwarded to me. And yeah, if it's something worth considering, we can definitely have an extended discussion.
Okay. So how do you generate new ideas for your establishment?
So that is what drives me as an entrepreneur, is the vision of the businesses. So it comes pretty naturally to me, and that's really where my strength is. So I'm constantly thinking of eventing ideas, branding ideas, experience ideas, uh, and it's not just something I said for dramatic effect. I legitimately go to bed at night thinking about these things. So um, it's a natural flow state, to be honest, that I'm always in, and I try and make notes on my phone. I use an app called Google Keep. So whenever I have an idea for an event name or an idea to do something, I just jot it down so that I don't forget it. And I'm constantly in creation vision mode. That is, if I had to say, is my biggest strength, is concepts, ideas, vision.
I was about to ask you, what is your greatest fear, and how do you try and manage it? How do you like psych yourself out of it?
I think my greatest fear, just as a human being, is to not be able to support, look after my family.
Mhm.
And I mean, I've got twin boys, I've got a beautiful wife, and I'm the breadwinner. So COVID has certainly put me in positions where I have had to ask myself some honest, deep questions in terms of like, if things don't get back to normal, then what? And, it really map out certain scenarios. But I am obsessed with not failing in that respect. And
Okay.
if I have to become a waiter or have 10 jobs to provide for my family, I'll do that. That is the one thing that is not an option in my mind. Like, if I think about it, I get this like mental block and I just
Yeah.
go into solutions mode. So the thought of not being able to look after and support my family as an entrepreneur, as the breadwinner, puts me in a position where I will do whatever it takes. And during COVID, I did whatever it took in order for me to provide for my staff, for my family, and I will continue to do that. So it's that mindset of refusing to accept that ultimate defeat, and your body and your mind become conditioned to making sure that you don't even get close to that. And sure, life happens and you get put in a situation where it's out of your control. Well, there are always outs. There is always a way out.
Yeah.
I
So,
truly believe that it's not a positive thinking, tra la la, mushy mushy stuff. Like I truly believe there is always a solution to every problem, no matter how big.
and so how has being an entrepreneur affected your family life?
With time, I have learned to compartmentalize my life quite well. I am always busy. I've always got something on the go, but I do take time to uh, find time for myself. I enjoy playing golf. Um, I enjoy collecting tequila. I love things that feed my soul, but I also love bathing my boys every single night. So as busy as I am and as much work as I've got to do, I don't want to compromise on that. I get home every day when I can. Obviously, there's exceptions, but 99% of the time, I make sure that I'm at home for bath time so I can bath my boys. That's an important time for me. As busy as I am as an entrepreneur and a business owner, like those things are important. Those boundaries are important to set. So, like I say, there's a solution to everything. As busy and as many things as I've got going on, there's always time for me. There's always time for my family.
And then I wanted to ask, because since you're like, I I get you so in so many levels when you say you're always solution driven, you're always in that mode of creating. Because I'm always like that, because I'm fairly started this whole thing, So I'm always thinking. I don't sleep at night without thinking, what can I do better? What can I do better? So what makes you a better entrepreneur? Is it like your mindset, the type of people you hang around with? What makes you like like an exceptional entrepreneur, if I may say so?
Yeah, for me, I I like I'm driven by obviously being surrounded by inspirational people. I love learning. I love being inspired by other people. I certainly don't think that I'm the messiah and everything that I do is the best thing ever. I think competition is healthy. I look at people around me. I get inspired. I get inspired by my staff. I get inspired by my family. And all those building blocks ultimately define you as a businessman, as a human being. And I continue to surround myself around those kind of energies, um, especially entrepreneurs. Even, you know, I'm part of this organization called Entrepreneurs Organization. And it's a membership that you have to be vetted to join, and you have to be an established business owner. And we form forums which consist of different entrepreneurs from completely different backgrounds. And my forum has people in finance, has attorneys, has interior decorators, and the inspiration that you get from them and their successes and challenges is a massive motivation and influence for me, over and above my peers and competitors in the industries that I'm in. So I'm constantly looking at getting exposed. I'm constantly keen on learning and just surrounding myself with the right energies that drive and motivate me.
So we have a question for you again. Uh,
Hmm.
how do you give back to the community from a CSI or enterprise development point of view?
So with a lot of the events that I've done, we've done workshops around music and entertainment, and we've given bursaries out, which is linked to Soul Candy Institute of Music, which is our education division. So we've given a lot of music production bursaries, DJ course bursaries out in these workshops. We've donated food parcels, we've donated uh, um, school shoes to underprivileged people in communities. So for me, it's always important for it to be linked to a strategy that is driven and is meaningful. And I definitely leverage my businesses to do good in that respect.
Okay. So, um, two last questions before we close. Um, but I think you did touch on what keeps you motivated. I think you did touch on that, right? So,
Yeah.
um, think about your younger self, the dream, né? What advice would you give to that younger self?
Um, that I, and this is going to sound so weird. I mean, there's like little things as a human being that you regret and whatever, but the path that I'm on is completely my dream. Like, I had the biggest aspirations of being an established, credible DJ, and I've been super fortunate to play around the world and around the country. I've mixed 10 compilations. Um, that has opened up a world that has opened up so many other passions. And like I said in the beginning, the mistakes that I made have all created learnings and opportunities to grow that I wouldn't take back. I mean, it's not nice to lose 1.4 million rand or 800,000 rand on an event. It's not. It really isn't nice. Could my life have been better if I didn't lose that 100%? But I've grown and made more money out of that. So, everything that I've shared today is, um, a testament to, the learnings and the exposure that I've had from other people. And I would not change or take back anything that I've experienced as a person, as an entrepreneur, because it's defined who I am today, and I'm very happy with who I am today.
Nice. And so, in closing, can you share maybe what people must look out for, where they can find you, and advice to someone who wants to tap in any of your spaces?
Um, with regards to everything I do, I generally promote it on my socials, but I try not make it about I try not make it about me. It's my establishments that are more of a priority. But just follow my socials, which I think that you've marketed. And my one bit of advice that I would say is I do whatever you do, make sure that it's driven from passion and not driven by other sort of motivations like money and that kind of thing. If you are obsessed and passionate about what you do, you will succeed with whatever you do. If you want to be a trapeze artist, be the best damn trapeze artist that you want to be. Just make sure that you are obsessed with, if you want to get into the spaces that I'm in, just know that I go to bed at night and I am driven by being the best that I can be at a restaurateur, at hosting events and festivals. You can't just do this with events and restaurants just driven off money. It's you're never gonna make the right decisions that make the right kind of impacts that build loyalty and consistency in your businesses. So find something that you do that you absolutely love and go all in. Go all in.
Thank you so much, Ricardo. Thank you for honoring my invite. It was such a pleasure having you. I'm
Thank
inspired.
you.
I hope I will be
Awesome.
able to come and give you some more because I'm also a creative person. I like to think of stuff. Hopefully, I'll come up with great solutions and one day work with you on something. Yeah, there we go.
Awesome.
So,
Definitely. I look forward to
thanks to
that.
the viewers. Thanks to the viewers for watching and asking the questions. And yeah, there's some, but I'll ask you. I'll mail you because there's something I want to do for December. It's kind of like a catch-up session, but I'll keep you in the loop. I'll keep you updated.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you so
And
much.
so thank you so much. I hope. Oh, I always say this to my guest speakers. I wish you all the best. I wish you more kitchen because you're all in this for the kitchen and the passion.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Bye.
Bye, guys.